All right, guys. Our next guest is an MMA legend, a former UFC light heavyweight champ, the man with the most first-round finishes in UFC history. He was the youngest man to win a UFC tournament at just 19 years old. He now fights with ONE. It's a pleasure to welcome Vitor the Phenom Belfort for the first time to Submission Radio. Vitor, it's an honor to have you on the show, man.
My pleasure, my friend.
Thank you.
I'm excited.
Yeah, dude, we're excited as well. It looks like you're at a gym. You just finished training. Whereabouts are you now?
Right here. Got some cashews and some dates.
Yep. Well, I was asking because we saw you were at the Tyson ranch with Mike Tyson the other day, a few days ago, and you were sort of around his gym and around his people. I think you were doing stuff for Smart Cups. What was that whole experience like?
No, it was amazing. Being around Tyson was always good. A guy who inspired me to become hold the most knockout in UFC history. So me and Tyson, we have a very good relationship. When he was in Brazil at the time, I really helped him when he needs it. So, and it's very genuine. So it's a very genuine friendship.
When was it that you guys first met? How far back does your relationship go? And what was some of your earliest memories?
2007.
Wow. What was it like when you first met him?
2007. A guy trying to set him up over there, and they hold his passport, but I took care of it. I knew the guy was involved was a very bad gentleman, and he was taking advantage of Tyson, and Tyson did nothing. And I had my lawyer go there and give him his passport, and it's like this: is whatever you can do to help people that really help the sport, and Mike did.
Obviously, there's a lot. He's in amazing shape now, and he's back into fighting shape, and he's supposed to fight Roy Jones hopefully in November. I'm just wondering, have you had a chance to sort of see him in action, maybe even move around a little bit with him, and how's he looking ahead of his return?
You know, Mike is looking great. I see him just for a short period of time. He's feeling great. I spoke to him, and I think he's Mike Tyson, man. Like I said to him, a king never loses his crown. A king always a king. And it's amazing just the turnover he did in his career. So that's enough is a championship belt right there. And I know it's just about time. You know, I think it's coming to happen.
Are you going to go and watch him fight in November? Will you be there? And how do you think that one goes?
Oh, yeah, I'll be there, man. I'll be there. And like I said, fight is a fight. Doesn't matter who fight. When a fight happens, it's always 50-50. What do you think? Who's going to win?
Between Mike Tyson and Roy Jones?
Yeah.
It's going to be a fantastic fight. Both guys are obviously legends, but it's hard to go past Mike Tyson. He's looking as quick as ever. And Roy Jones, obviously, you know, it's not really his natural weight class, but it's still going to be interesting to see how quick Roy Jones is going to be able to look and what that fight is going to play out like. Now, let's talk about you for a sec, because we know it's been a little bit of time since your big move over to ONE. You haven't had a chance to fight yet, but what's your experience been like for you so far with the new company?
So, one thing ONE has and nobody has yet, ONE has their fingerprint. They're doing something different than what UFC, who really made the landscape for everyone. And ONE is really bringing a lot of martial arts in one event. So you go to a ONE event, you can see different type of fights with different type of rules. And it's very entertaining, and it's very well done, and it's a mix of entertaining sport, but it's an evolution of MMA. And what's mixed martial art is like in one event you can have a Muay Thai, you can have a boxing fight, you can have a grappling fight, and also you can have an MMA fight. And the rules vary, so it's amazing. They are really entrepreneur in this area, in this sense.
Well, I mean, we know that your ONE debut, your official debut, it seems like it may be coming to fruition quite soon. But I'm just curious, After all these years in the UFC, you know, you won a title belt, you won tournaments, you beat some of the biggest names in the sport. Is there a moment that stands out to you sort of as your favorite?
Oh, yeah. It's hard. It's like choosing a kid. I have two kids. Who's your favorite? So I always say is that the victories, they taste good. The losses is a bit bitter. But when you transform your losses in learning, so I call it the L, just different L. One is losses, one is learn. Mm-hmm. So when you can transform your losses and learn, so you grow. And I think that's what I transform my losses in my learning process. So become a victory. But 2013, the beginning of my career, I went through a lot of ups and downs, but I enjoy all of them. And I think it's just a process. You got to enjoy the process.
And in 1992, when you beat John Hess at Super Brawl 2 in your first pro fight in Hawaii, did you ever imagine that you'd be a legend in the sport and still headlining cards in 2020?
No way. It's this. The way I live my life, it's the way people call mindfulness. What is mindfulness? It's being in the moment. I'm a guy who are literally learning to prepare for the future, but I think all of us we are losing the moment to be in the present. And what I say that the world is either depression is a big thing and anxiety is a big thing. What is depression? You're stuck on the past. What is anxiety? Anxiety is nothing more than what? It's you're stuck on the future. Mm-hmm. So most of the people today, they are either depressed, stuck on the past, or have anxiety with the future and not really living in the present moment. So mindfulness is being in the moment, and I'm learning my whole life. I was doing that by instinct. You know, I love to be in the moment. I'm very excited. I'm very passionate for what I do. Mm-hmm. And that's why I think the fans really love when Vitor fights, because I'm really in the moment and I'm enjoying the moment. And I think it's not a lot of fighters made their name in the industry, and not just I did in the past. I've been doing it in the present, and I think I'm gonna leave a mark for the future. So I'm always investing in the next generation. So I'm really excited for what mixed martial arts and the combat sport has for the future. For the fans.
So I guess what I'm curious about is sort of that mindfulness. Is that why you sort of continue to fight and continue to be involved in mixed martial arts? I always wonder, you know, when legends like yourself who have done so much, I always wonder when they continue fighting, what is it that sort of drives them? Is it that mindfulness? And when you're fighting now, is it a case where you're doing it for yourself, for your own career, or is it that you're sort of, like you said, investing in the next generation and sort of staying around to sort of help the other guys?
So when you live in the moment, you're always doing for yourself, and you're doing for the next generation. So mindfulness is always going to be for the next generation, because a person who is really mindful of what they're doing, they know what they're doing. They know their why. They know their motivation. So my motivation is because I think the combat sport, I don't call it MMA, I call it combat sport. We're in combat sport. And that's what people like. Not every MMA that sells. What sells is the combat. It's the corner, the red corner and the blue corner. It's the fighters that are interest for the fans. And I think we need something new. You know, they're seeking. You know, when the industry are seeking for something new, and that's happening with technology. That's happening with every sport. And I believe MMA, it's in an evolution right now, and that's what ONE's been doing. And you gotta really believe it before everyone do. And I believe when everybody didn't believe. You know, when I said MMA would be the biggest, people didn't believe. And I think the future is going to be the combination of a combat sport between boxing and mixed martial artists, or any combat sport. So that's what I think the future holds for the industry, and that's what we are seeking right now.
Yeah, it's definitely exciting times. Speaking of the next generation, Vitor, I just want to quickly get your thoughts. Obviously, the middleweight division in the UFC has had some new names, and I'm just curious, what do you make of this fight between Israel Adesanya and Paulo Costa? Because this is a fight that a lot of people are really excited about, and it's a lot of people are trying to figure out how this one will go down when it actually happens at UFC 250.
Yes, Bohashinha used to be in my camp. He used to be on, and Bohashinha is a very tough guy, very strong, very durable. And you have on the other side a guy who's very crafty. He's very, very awkward and different. But I think Israel doesn't have a lot of good hands. He really has a mix of the hands and the feet, but he's not a good boxer. Versus Bohashinha is a very good hand. He learned a lot of stuff with me. A great boxer, and I think he has a chance until the third round. If this pass, I think the fight will go to Israel. So that's why people like, it's two strikers. We know that we're not going to expect the fight on the ground, and I think that's what sells. Like, remember, it's not MMA; it's a combat sport. So both guys are combat athletes. They like to strike, and that's what sells.
It's funny because I know you mentioned it. It's going to be a very exciting fight, but it looks like a lot of people aren't really giving Paulo Costa sort of the respect that he deserves. A lot of people see a big guy who's threatening, but they're not really sort of paying attention to some of his skill sets. Do you believe he's a little bit underrated by some fans?
I think just because not underrated, he didn't. It's a hype. I think just a hype, of course. You're not there by accident. He deserved to be there. Bohashinha paved his way. He paid the price. He put some good fights, and he deserved to be there, man. It's not like was granted to him like a present. You're always gonna have haters. You're always gonna have the doubters. You're always gonna have, your success come with that. And I think he's himself very good. He's promoting the fight. But I really think he has the skills. He has his hand is much better than Israel. But Israel is a very crafty guy. Great kicks. He can sprawl very well. So we see, it's going to be interesting. And that's what's interesting. It's like people got to realize what sells is not the ground, is not the jiu-jitsu. What sells is people like striking. People love guys that can bring that excitement. And even Dana White called Bohashinha the young Belfort, the young Phenom.
Yeah.
And because he has the hands, and he learned a lot with me. We trained together, and I think he's really has a chance, and it's going to be a great combat.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, Vitor, because people compare Israel and Costa to sort of like you and Anderson Silva. Yeah. What do you think about the comparisons?
It's almost like it's like the new version of Anderson, the new version of Belfort. You're right on the dot. And it is what it is. Bohashinha is representing me. A guy with a great physique. A very talented, young, and with and he has a lot of experience. He's earned his respect, and I think that's what it is. That's what's cool about the future. The when you have people that pave the way. So it's literally like kind of like he's the new version of Anderson and the new version of the Phenom.
Wow.
Sure.
And that's kind of cool, right? Because it's almost like your legacy lives on through Bohashinha in a way, because people are making those comparisons. Yeah. Hearing you talk about him and sort of acknowledging that as a fan is just incredible. And I'm wondering if because of that you're hoping that he wins in a way to sort of carry that legacy.
Like it's like that. A guy like myself, I really respect Israel too. I train with him. Actually, both were there when I was fighting Weidman. Israel was helping my fellow friend to fight. Anthony Johnson was fighting too, so he was sparring partners of Johnson. Bohashinha was helping to fight Weidman when my fight get canceled. But I like both. Both are great artists, and I'm just cheering for a great fight. I hope both guys do great and the best man wins. It's not the guy who's the best. It's always the fighter who fight the best. And both guys have different skills, and And that's what makes it interesting. People got to understand that's what sells.
Well, let's get into what's next for you, because we saw this week Wanderlei Silva posting a fight poster that said you and him are fighting on a pay-per-view at the Tyson Ranch. Then we saw you posted a video about it. But for those who haven't seen the video that you posted, what was your reaction when you saw this poster?
I see desperation. It's almost like I see a sign of desperation. And I understand. I don't know why. I don't know why he's fighting. Maybe because he feels like he needs a rematch, or maybe he's hurting for money. I don't know his why. But I told him, my agent has been texting him, we're going to bring this to ONE. Chati said he would do it. And Chati would present this for the whole scene, with this new rules called BMAs, where literally a boxer can fight an MMA fighter in this unification of rules. That I think that's what people want to see it. It's enough, of this BS. Like the Dana said, boxing doesn't sell. People don't want to see boxing. People want to see guys that MMA who brought the heat, who bring the heat. So nothing better to bring merge these two sports together in a clash, with a rematch between me and Wanderlei Silva, and possibly in the future with Anderson as well. So people want to see fights like this, like Costa and Israel. What sells, like the excitement, the three great athletes. They're looking for a knockout. They're looking for putting people away, and I think that's what sells. And especially merging a fair field for MMA athletes, because it wasn't fair what happened with McGregor and Mayweather, because it's not fair for the boxer to fight MMA. So let's even the field and put great fights that sells, because right now boxing is not selling pay-per-view. MMA is not easy to sell pay-per-view unless when you have a big fight like that. So if we merge both together, and now you have something interesting that people can pay for, and people will be much more interested to see something I call the new kids on the block. I call it the TikTok of fighting. It's going to be when we merge this two sport, they can come back. They can have a combat that will fair for both of the sports.
Yeah, you just mentioned Anderson Silva as well. We know he's still with the UFC right now, but his contract is coming to an end. So does a part of you hope that when he finishes with the UFC, you guys get a chance to run that one back and you get that rematch with him as well?
Oh, man, like it's a business, man. You're going to understand, When we make a business, it's called partnership. You got to find an opponent that you really want, and the other guy really want. Of course, it's like we have a big fight. It's always some possibility. When you have two legends fighting in the rules that, people really want to see it. People want to see action. People want to see. Imagine if you can put back on the court Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan. I'll pay. I'll pay. Doesn't matter if they're in shape or not. We will pay. Thinking about a legend is a legend, man, and that's why fans, they love it about seeing legend, especially a legend like myself who's really in shape and ready to go. So it's time. So let's make it happen, man.
Yeah, and Mike Tyson, Roy Jones Jr., another great example of people loving legends.
People want to see it, man. It's like they earn it. They earn their way. Imagine if we can merge. When you can merge both sports together, man, that's the future.
So
that's what I want to see.
Is that the motivation for you? Because I guess you look at you versus Wanderlei Silva, you beat him in Brazil in 1998. It was a very iconic win, actually, one of your most iconic ones. So I wonder what the motivation was. Was it this sort of, new rule set and doing it in ONE Championship? And also, how do you think the fight would differ this time around, in 2020 or whenever it would happen?
Like I said, Passing's a cancel check, tomorrow's a promissory note, and today's cash on hand. Let's talk about today. Wanderlei, get yourself together, go train. Let's give the fans. Chatra is just waiting on you, and let's make it happen, bro.
So with the fight right now, Wanderlei has not approached to this day. He hasn't approached ONE since you made those comments, and he hasn't actually made anything near official just yet.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not in the. I don't see social media. I post my stuff. I communicate what I want. I'm not the guy. I don't know what's happening. Actually, I'm not into politics. The thing is me is like I'm here training and getting ready. My agent is working. I have a great agent. So when time's come, whoever it is Holyfield, whoever it is, even Roy Jones Jr. After he got his ass kicked by Tyson, I'll get him. I'll give him a chance. Let's crack, man. We need to bring fights that the fans want to see it.
Another fight that fans are talking about is Brock Lesnar is apparently a free agent and looking to return to MMA. And a lot of people have spoken about the fact that, hey, one could be a great home for Brock Lesnar, and a fight with Vitor Belfort would be very exciting to the fans. What do you think about that?
Brock Lesnar, I think you are flawed, but I will give you a chance. I think you're a fraud. If you really want to fight with me, let's go bare hands, man. Me and you, we put the gloves, we go combat, you know. I know you're a very tough man. You know, I heard you're a great grappler, but I'll fight you, man. I'll fight you any day, any time. And I think that's a legendary fight right there. But I think he's a fraud, you know, in the MMA. He shouldn't, but you know, he comes from the WWE. He know how to sell. But you know, for MMA, he doesn't like to get hit, man. And I'm telling you, I can hit him pretty hard. So let's do BMA, man. Me and you. You're a big man. I got you. I'm willing to fight big man, man. I'm not scared. The king of the jungle is the lion, is not the elephant. So, Brock Lesnar, you're right on my alley, my friend.
I love it. Just to sort of expand on that, when you say he's a fraud, do you mean because of like not wanting to be hit, or do you mean because of what happened with Mark Hunt and obviously the USADA controversy? What do you mean by fraud?
No, fraud because he never paved his way, man. He never fought MMA. He went there and he got a chance. You know, he fought for the belt after one fight. Listen, I tell this everyone. You listen to me very clearly. The only sport in the world that you can come in from other sport is MMA. You can never cross. An MMA fighter can never cross to football. They can never cross. Michael Jordan tried to cross for baseball and he couldn't make it. Why? Because you have a process to make it, you know? So that's what it is, you know? We need to understand that MMA, a combat sport, even YouTubers can fight. Even like if you're a hockey player, you can come and fight in these rules. That's why it's good, man. That's what makes MMA so possible. You don't need to have a career. You can make a career. And you can become a persona and people can like you and they're going to buy you. Look at what Kimbo Slice did. You know, and some make it like I take my hats off for that guy, the gangster, you know, Masvidal, because he really paved his way, man. You know, people don't realize, but that guy paved his way. He deserved it. You know, so I respect fighters that really paved their way. You know, they really deserve to be on the spotlight. But you know, I understand. You know, he can be in the spotlight of WWE. So that's what I mean. A fraud for MMA is this. He doesn't deserve it. But you know, he sells, man. Let's go, Brock. I'll put my hands on you. That would be nice. I'll make him pink. I'll make him pink.
Well, Vitor, we appreciate the time. As we wrap up, final question. Ideally, how soon would you like to fight for one? What is the timeline right now? I know we're dealing with COVID and things are difficult to figure out, but is there an ideal time for you?
Give me 4 weeks. Give me 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. Ready to go. Brock Lesnar, you ready to go. Give me 8 weeks. Sign your deal, man. Let's go.
Could we ever see it on the Tyson Ranch, or does it have to be in one?
One. Let's go, Brock. We'll do it. One fight deal.
Well, there you go, guys.
Come do it.
The options are there for Vitor Belfort. You got Brock Lesnar, you got Wanderlei Silva, you've got basically every legend under the sun. Anderson Silva, Holyfield.
Hey, bring it on. Watch the Klitschko brothers.
Wow.
Bro, I would love it, man. I would love to do a BMA with the Klitschko brothers, man.
Well, there you go, guys.
With the Mexican fighter, man. I love that Mexican heavyweight, man. We need to make it entertaining, man. People want to see. Listen, man. Since today, do you know who is the record of knockout of UFC?
Yeah, we know. It was you. We introduced it at the very start.
I'm the knockout, so let's go. It's a combat. Let's see who has the best hands. But we got to equal the land. Let's equal the land, man. Let's make the land equal. we have a lot of options. As you see, man, it's great, man. We have at least 4 more fights to see the last dance of Vitor Belfort.
Well, there you go. It's good to see that there's a lot of dance left in Vitor Belfort. Follow the man on Twitter and Instagram at Vitor Belfort. Huge honor chatting to you, Vitor. Thank you so much for giving us your time, man.
Hey, man, I appreciate, man. You're a great reporter, and I think this is going to go viral, man.
Thank
and
you.
I think I have to show the world what. And he's a young guy. How old is he? I think he's very young, you know.
Who are we talking about? Who's young?
The Brock Lesnar.
He's 43, I think.
Yeah, he's my age, so let's go.
Yeah, that'll be a fantastic contest. We can't wait to see what happens in this, Vitor. Thank you so much for taking the time to come in.
Take care, my man. Bye-bye.